Greets peeps, how you doing? I am back once again, and I'm looking to start a new campaign for us. That music's quite loud. That's better. Looking to start a new campaign. I recently made a run at Muscovy on Very Hard, my very first Very Hard game. And it all went quite well, but then I got a violent kicking, so decided that Very Hard isn't quite for me just yet. It was all going well until some weird stuff related to forts happened and blah blah blah, so I thought I'd start over. But I've also added some extra DLC. I've added Res Publica and Third Rome just to try to, well, the Cossacks, Third Rome is particular to the Russian end of a part of the world. So I thought I'd throw this one in. I genuinely have very little idea what it does. In fact, I can't think of anything that it does off the top of my head. So I have almost no idea what it does. Res Publica is another one that's another small one that I thought I'd throw in as well. That changes some government stuff around, so we'll have a look at that as well. But we're going ahead and we're playing as Muscovy, looking to do two different... Why can't I play? There we go. Looking to do two different achievements with this one. The first will be creating Russia. I think the achievement is called All Belongs to Mother Russia, or something to that effect. The second one is effectively just colonizing all the way out to the Siberian edge of the Atlantic. Is the Atlantic that one, or is that the Pacific? No, the Pacific, of course. So we'll have a look at the details of both of them, but I'm not certain. There may be... I didn't actually have I didn't have Third Rome installed until today. This is a new one that I've bought, so this should make for some exciting changes that I'm not aware of, and may have actually allowed us new achievements that I'm not aware of. But we'll have a look. There's a couple in here that are quite possible as well. We may be able to get a reserve of 1 million with Russia because of various parts of, because of the ideas that Russia has. We have a default extra... when we finished our idea groups, we get plus 33% land force limit modifier, which... No, that doesn't affect the reserves, does it? Manpower of 100 million. But the idea groups that we're going for will certainly help us, as will... Nope, I'm wrong. I thought they had a manpower modifier built in as well. But we'll be doing some manpower modifiers, so we may be able to get close to 1 million, depending on how long this game goes, depending on how deep we go. But the primary functions that we're looking, the primary achievements that we're looking to do today, or today, over the next couple of weeks, I would expect, are All Belongs to Mother Russia. Start as a country of Russian culture and form Russia. Very cool. That's one that I've always wanted to do. I was never certain exactly what you needed to do this. I do now, from having run that Very Hard run, and I was extremely close to it. I just needed to get to Admin Tech 10, but then I got in a spot of bother with giant armies crushing me and learning some stuff about how zones of control work, which we'll go through shortly. The things that we want to try and do, I wouldn't mind trying Double the Love. Start with no unions and get to it at the same time. No. Oh, we start with no unions, we start with a bunch of vassals. That could be an option. We could try that. It'll be tricky given that we're a heretic religion compared to most of the Catholic states, but I think we can play the Game of Thrones. I'm fairly certain we can. Where is the other one? I think think it's something to do with... Oh. Have 3 vassals in 2 marches at the same time. I think we can do that. That's a strange thing to be able to do so easily. We'll have a look at that in a... No, let's check it now. So we begin the game with... there we go. With 5 vassals. We just need to switch 2 of those to marches. And we're gold. The ones that I think we should probably change to marches are the ones on the periphery. Perm and Skov. Because we can feed them, we can vassal feed those into giant, powerful marches, and then when they get too large to be marches anymore, we can eat them. That's nice and easy. Weird. Okay. This one is also... I don't know where all of these are. I know at least one of them is over in the Americas. But seeing as we've got to get all the way out there, using our... God damn it. Where the hell is this thing? Relentless push east. So by 1600, we must own the East Siberian coastline. We can't actually see over there yet, but it's entirely viable. All provinces in the East Siberian region are owned by us, or do not have a port in any all. I have no idea what that could mean. But owned by Muscovy is a good indication that we just need to own everything over there. No problems. It may also mean that we just need to control the places that are colonized over there. So that's probably easier to do still. No problem, no stress. But as we'll be over that way anyway, it could make sense that we look to go over and take over that Georgia. Where the other Georgia is though, I just don't know. Guria is... Oh, I thought we began with a Georgia in Russia, but I'm probably thinking of this. Okay. Emirati. Also there. I imagine the others are... somewhere in East Asia, somewhere hidden over here, or somewhere hidden over here. So I may look at that between sessions. But in the meantime, let's begin this game as we with an achievement. Let's designate them as a march. Hurrah! Let's designate them as a march. Actually, just thinking about it, let's check that they haven't got anything that we need as part of one of our states. Actually they do, or more accurately we do have one of theirs. I'm slightly tempted to hand that over to them, given that furs aren't worth anything at this, or aren't worth very much at this point in the game. They do become worth a lot more. Or local trade power is plus 10%. I don't know, maybe we'll just keep it. It doesn't hurt to have extra stuff even if it's not a state. Does it? No, it doesn't. Let's just make them a march anyway, shall we? I was thinking if they had one state that we might want to take from them, we could just take it and then by making them a march it would cheer them up anyway. But let's just do this. Tick of the day. There we go. Full house achieved. Obviously you guys can't see that, which I've learned through all of my video editing recently, but we have 3 vassals and 2 marches at the same time. Very cool. So those 2 big boys on the side, we'll feed these guys stuff in Kazan, we'll feed these guys stuff in, well, either Lithuania or Livonian Order, and the rest we will subsume. Now, we have 2 merchants, and I've done some reading on research on words and talking. I've done some research on how trade works, and I'm pretty certain I've not been 100% accurate with how I've been explaining trade, and I'm quite certain that I've not been taking full advantage of how the trade system works. So, the first misconception that I believe I will have given in explaining how trade works is that you shouldn't have a merchant in your home node. Now, I don't know where I picked that information up, but I'm not certain it wasn't in the original description of how trade works during the tutorial, the in-game tutorial. I'm fairly certain that says that in there. But there's a number of places where I've learned all sorts of different stuff from, and that's why I've tried to help condense things. This is one of the things. So apparently, we only control 6% there, and we're getting 6% of 1.1, which is somehow 0.13. Yeah, that makes sense. 6% as opposed to 5. No, see, that to me looks like we're getting about 11% of that. 11 or 12%. Weird. Regardless, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at our trade income. Trade income at present is 2.14. It's quite a good amount. We receive 2 here, and we receive 0.13 there. We're going to recall this chap, and we're going to put him at our home node. He won't be back for 12 days, so in 12 days we'll be putting him back at our home node. The thinking is that if you can, you want to make one continuous chain that leads to your home node, if at all possible. If you're leeching a lot of trade upstream, then you want to move your home trade node downstream to... Sorry, if you're leeching it downstream, you want to move your trade node downstream, your home trade node downstream, and have your merchants keep pushing through, because each merchant that pushes trade through adds 10% to the power of the trade going through to the next node. So, and that's multiplicative. Multiplicative. So if I have a merchant here and a merchant there, he adds 10%, and then he adds 10% to the total that is sent through, which includes that 10%. So it's effectively 11%, if my math isn't much. Well, he alone effectively adds 11%, including, you know what I'm saying. It's multiplicative. And that having our home node there would make more sense, because we're doing 2 jumps, each of which is multiplied, as long as we have enough control in this node, which we could do using privateers, which we could do using protection with our light ships, which we could do by putting a merchant there who would add more trade power to the node, all sorts of stuff. But regardless, let's have a look what happens here. Actually, let's have a look what our diplomatic situation is like. We've got no one who doesn't... Well, all of the 3 main powers around us, all of the 3 largest things around us. Denmark, who have these two as vassals. They are vassals, maybe junior partner, yeah? That's right, and that's just a standard... No, both junior partners, okay. Denmark holds both of those as junior partners. Novgorod is our enemy, and we're going to... Our primary focus through the beginning of the game will be this direction. And Lithuania, who will likely soon become Poland's junior partner, so we'll happily rival those. Denmark, though, I'm not certain on. We'll have to have a think about that one because, well, I don't know. Last time they gave me a kicking is probably the reason why I'm concerned about it. But in the short term, we'll add Lithuania. We'll add Novgorod. And does that go away? Yes, it does. We'll consider Denmark, but my thinking is actually that Kazan makes for a better option. They're already grumpy with us. They already want our stuff. They already want our subject stuff, and they're a much easier proposition than Denmark, who are a bastard right about now. Lithuania's rivals are Crimea, Great Horde, and us. None of those are particularly useful. They're both Islamic and therefore a little bit tricky to deal with, as are both Kazan and Nogai. These two down here are both Orthodox as well, so they could be useful. The one problem is that they're like idiots, even though they're the only two people in the game that share, the only two other Orthodox nations apart from Serbia and Wallachia. They're at each other's throats. It's quite ridiculous. Actually, Byzantium are Orthodox as well. Of course they are. Of course they are. Far out. That's embarrassing. For someone who thinks himself quite the student of history to not know that off the top of his head is quite embarrassing. So Serbia could be an option. Wallachia could be an option. Moldavia are Poland's vassal. Or are they the March? They're the March, and Mazovia is the vassal. Yeah, alright. So we're not strong enough to do anything with Serbia or Wallachia at the moment because they are very much in the Ottomans' targets. We're still just a little old Muscovy, little old kingdom, so it's a bit too early for us to go looking that far afield, and as it stands, we're over our Diplo limit anyway. No, we don't start over our Diplo limit, but we start very damn close to it. We'll be having 2 marches the entire game, or at least for a good long period until they get large enough. So we'll always be running at most 3 allies, and we can't do any of those until we start eating these chaps, who we can't eat for the next 5 years at least. The areas around us, Novgorod are against Livonians and Denmark, and this was the reason why I didn't want to rival Denmark immediately. We could work with them, was my thinking, given that we share a mutual rival. But we'll see. I may switch these guys to being friendly, just to see if I can move them away from the rivalry. But we'll see how we go. Other considerations we have. So this is the map as it stands. We have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vassals, 2 of whom are actually marches. We have a reconquest claim against Novgorod, which we may take. What there was several times though were missions to attack Novgorod that come up quite easily. We're currently at only half of our manpower, so reclaiming Velsk is actually a really good start to this game. Gives us prestige, gives us better manpower, and we want that back anyway. We also want to take other stuff from Novgorod though, so I'm slightly tempted to... I don't know. I don't quite know. Maybe make some claims on Novgorod before we do go to war with them. What we can do is... oh, I should mention that after the very hard run that I did with Muscovy and before I put these other DLCs in, the game crashed violently. It deleted all of my settings in here, all of my message settings. I had to reinstall it. It was that badly crashed and corrupted. So the save games were super dicey as it was, hence my thinking, hey, let's just start over and on a less punishing skill level. So if my buttons are all weird and I spend a lot of time trying to work out what's hidden where, you know why, because I've only guessed as to where things were and I'm quite certain they're wrong. I know for a fact that forts weren't there. But I've learned some important stuff about forts that I'll be explaining as we go through anyway, because they are really important and can really make or ruin games. I'll come to it later because it's quite tricky to explain when you're not in battle, but yeah, I've got information to impart. So our first mission, and possibly easiest mission, is allying these clowns. We've got a problem. What I'd like to do is ally them, vassalize them, and eventually eat them, or you know, integrate them, to put it in a nicer way. The one problem with that is that we have one of their core provinces, and that will remain the case for a long time. They also don't trust us for reasons I can't explain. It must be because we took their stuff from them at some point. If we have a look, I'm fairly certain it's this, that province they consider as one of their cores, which is understandable given that it's in the same state, as is Toropets actually. So I could make friends with these. It would give me +1 Diplo rep, and that would be nice. It doesn't last for very long, and it will finish before we can begin devouring our chaps anyway. No, it won't. We've got a 5-year cooldown before we can eat any of our vassals. No, incorrect. It's 10 years. Okay, so we may leave that sort of a mission until later, and perhaps just ignore them. They're rivaling our rival, Novgorod, so that's fine. There's some other things we may do, but I think the mission that makes the most sense at the moment is to reclaim Velsk. We've got... oh, there's a humiliate Casaspelli. That's a weird thing to just pop up then when it's not at all involved. But since time immemorial, Velsk has rightfully belonged to our great nation. Our spies report that the population yearns to rejoin us, and that in every home flags and weapons are hidden in case our troops arrive to free them of their oppressors. Perfect. That's what we want. And we want the prestige, and we want the manpower recovery, so all is good. Let's proceed with this. We've got a good handle on our diplomatic situation, in that we can't ally anyone because we've already maxed out our allies. We can't... well, we could do some other stuff. We probably will, including, I'm quite tempted to try to make friends with these lot. Sadly, they've not rivaled the people that I want them to rival. Had they rivaled Denmark, we'd have a bonus to allying them. But we don't. Because if we can focus, if they can focus that way, that's where they usually focus. If they can focus that way, we can focus this way and up here. Well, mainly through here. This is our number one priority. But if we can take some of this stuff and work with Poland, help them take whatever else they want around here, and then start both looking down this way. They look this side of the... which sea is this? Oh god. What's that one? That's the Caspian. That's the Black Sea, isn't? Is it? Yeah, Black Sea, of course. So they'll likely focus this way on the Black Sea. We'll likely focus this way on the Black Sea. It could be a really productive partnership. Keep that line basically down the middle and just go for the rest of the game. Them that way, us that way. We've got long-term focus over this way anyway, over to the edge of Siberia. God, it's actually over here. It's a terrifyingly long way away when it's when it's all what do you call that? Terra incognita. But it's far, far over that way. We need to get by 1600. So that's where we want to keep our focus anyway. We don't care about anything this way. We want this stuff, which will allow us to make Russia. That's a good point. To form the Russian nation, we need admin tech 10, no problems, and we need a bunch of cores. We need Novgorod, we need Tiva, which we already have. No, they have that. So we do need to do something with them regardless. And we need Ryazan or Smolensk. Ryazan is... Oh, Ryazan's down here. And Smolenskas is in Lithuania, if I remember from a couple of weeks ago. Smolenskas is there. So we need that one or that one, and we'll definitely be going for that one because that one doesn't require fighting Lithuania and the frickin' Polish. So that's our long-term. That's our long-term plan. Is Tech 10, grab Novgorod and that, and then we can become Russia. But in the meantime, we want to eat all of Novgorod anyway. They're our rival, and we want their stuff. We would ideally like to make friends with Denmark, so we may... Well, which one makes more sense? I think if we try and improve with Poland, that makes more sense in the short term. And what we'll do is move our merchant now to, if I recall, it was 0.13 that we were earning there. It was 2.13 total. Let's put our chappy here. So our trade power, Novgorod has 36, we have 22. 22. I guess the trade node isn't even in our... They control the actual center of the trade node. This is the Novgorod trade node, yeah, of course. So we'll collect from here. And let's see what our power goes up to. It's 22 at the moment. Oh, he doesn't get there for 7 days. Crap, I've got a feeling it's not being calculated until next month. But let's have a look. We now collect 2.4 as opposed to what we had before of 2.13. So we're making a lot more money here. Now our primary focus militarily in this game is up this way anyway, in the short term at least. So it makes perfect sense. I'm rethinking my marches now. Probably should have made them the march, fed them a bunch of the crappy stuff up here that I don't want, kept the stuff over here that I do want. Oh well, and then integrated these guys. But no, it's fine. I can feed them Kazan and stuff, and yeah, we'll have a think about it. No problems whatsoever. So we're now in a situation where we can actually declare... No, we can't, not for another 10 days. I don't see any problem with declaring on these clowns immediately. We've got a large enough army that we can probably do some bits and pieces with it, and we've got, between all of our vassals, we have 3, 11, 14, 17, 20,000 other troops, so we should quite handily outnumber Novgorod, who almost never get an ally, because I think because they just rival everyone around them, which is a tough diplomatic stance to take, but fair play to them. So we'll have a look here, see if we've got a good advisor, a discipline advisor. I think that's a good way to start the game. He's going to cost us 1 ducat per month. We currently make 1.7 per month. That sounds good to me. What we also should do is look to do our estates. Now, the estates are quite interesting here because we've got the Cossacks DLC enabled, and because we are living in an area where there are where Cossacks traditionally lived, we have an extra estate that we can interact with. Now, the Cossacks are pretty cool. They have lots of things that they can do, such as making cavalry cheaper and better at fighting. They up the cavalry combat ratio, but they also do some other cool stuff, which I can't access yet because they haven't got enough influence. Poops. Let's have a check in here. That's right, someone else controls that. The clergy control that until next year. That's the only thing that's available to them. The Cossacks, the only stuff the Cossacks like is the... I warned you I'd be having to faff about with this. The only stuff that Cossacks like is grasslands. No, not even grasslands. They only like steppes. So there's plenty of steppes to give them down through where all of these horde nations live. We just don't control any of it. So we need to... So that's another good incentive to look towards this area, is to empower our Cossacks, because they have one thing that's particularly brilliant. If you use that one there, they will raise 1 cavalry unit on every square that they control, which gets insane. You can have an army appear in an army of 20. If you have 20 steppes areas that you've given over to the Cossacks, you can have a super massive cavalry army appear out of nowhere and crush, and it's pretty damn cool. The other ones all remain the same. The boyars is the name for the nobility in this group. So let's have a little look. We probably want to... How much stuff do they need to control? They expect to control at least 10. How much do they control at the moment? That would... that gives them 4... Yeah, okay, no, all of those are too well developed. Unfortunately, too well developed for us to take them off the nobles, so they would go over the... Sorry, they would go under the 10% that we need them to be at. So what we'll do is we'll look for other things which suit them. That's quite good. What do we need to get them up to? We need to get them up to... that's 10, that's... we could Get them up to 70 with that, and then we need to give them 10 happy and less than 10 influence, and that's not the way it works typically. Let's have a look. Giving them a 1-1-1 will give them 2.5 influence and only 1.7 happy. So that doesn't work too cleanly. Is there any that change that balance a bit? I'd really much rather get a general from them than anything else, but getting a general always makes keeping them under 80 quite tricky. But having a general with 40 to begin the game with would be pretty superb. Actually, let's have a look at our rulers. Our king is great with his skills. This is a good point. So, with one of the add-ons, with one of the DLCs that I've turned on for this one, we've now got more personalized leaders. So, our leaders, their heirs, and the leaders' wives all have an impact on the nation that you're ruling. This chap is careful, so we get AgX reduction, which is great. This chap is great at spying. He's an intricate web weaver, so it's easier for us to do spying, which is great. He'll get a third attribute in 5 years, and he will. That is randomized. It could be anything. The same thing applies over here. When this chap turns 15, he'll get his first personality trait, and he'll then get one every 5 years after that, I believe is how it works. Maybe every 10 years. I can't remember. I've been playing on without this one turned on for so long that I genuinely can't remember exactly how it works. But we'll all work it out together. Oh yeah. Hey, this looks interesting. This will be part of the third Rome, I imagine. You need 100 power gathered to the raise Streltsy, but you have only gathered 0. Well, poopy pants, I have no idea what that means. Impact progress for all rebel factions by -30. Oh, this looks amazing. I have no idea what any of this does. How exciting. Need 100 power gathered to... What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. So good. Alright, we've got the strength and govern button, which I believe was available previously. Our national ideas are -1 unrest and +5 national tax modifier. Love it. That's not us. That is, though. Is there anyone who particularly loves us? Those are our vassals, those top 5. That's Odoyev is that little fella there. Ryazan is that little fella there. Byzantium, Caucasia, Georgia, Moldavia, Serbia, Theodoro, Trebizond, and Wallachia are all of our religion. Azativa, but they have low trust of us for a reason that I don't know. And because we own one of their cores. And then most everyone else doesn't like us because we're of a weird religion. Fair enough, I can dig it. That's our only province of interest. Yes, that's true. And we're going fine on everything else. One thing that we do have is we have one very annoying Muslim territory in Kasimov. Now, Sunni provinces are extra hard to convert back. You have a -2 missionary strength, and we begin with zero missionary strength because of the way that this religion works, I believe. The bonuses that we get for the religion are cool. We get better tolerance of the true faith, as all religions do actually, but we get cheaper stability, which is great. Problem is that... Oh yes, of course, because there's no Protestantism or Reformed at the moment. So Orthodox is what we see as the true faith. The other branches of Christianity are seen as heretical, as heretics, and then everyone else is seen as heathen. It's interesting that Jewish is seen as heathen. I always expected that Jewish would be heretics, but there's no Jewish nations anyway, I don't think. I think Judaism exists only in one province somewhere down in Ethiopia. Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember. I have heard and read about it, but it's not something that I've ever had dealings with. Yes. Oh, what does that mean? Set an icon to be commissioned. Oh, wow. This looks cool. Okay, so this third Rome must have tweaked the way that the Orthodox religion works. This previously, before I had, with the very hard run that I did previously, all that happened here was the higher patriarch authority you have, the less unrest, the more manpower, and the better missionary strength. As it is, we get none of those. Big whoop. But there is a reason beyond those, and it's these, which look frickin' cool. So we get to get plus 10 manpower and plus 5 discipline. That sounds frickin' amazing. -3 unrest and harsh treatment cost. That sounds frickin' amazing. Particularly when we have, because we've got the, oh, I can't remember which DLC does the absolutism mechanics, but once it comes to absolutism time, harsh treatment is a fantastic way to get your absolutism up, and if you can get a discount on doing it, you can get really good absolutism, which gives you really good discipline, and a bunch of other things. Construction cost, love it. Improve relations and AgX, yep, that's cool. And institution cost and spread, hells effing yes, that's so important to us over here. Although we're in Russia, we're also not very friendly with any of our neighbors, and we're miles away from the spawning points of most of the institutions. So we're actually in a worse position as regards institutions than the Ottomans are, despite them, well, I guess they are in Europe as well, aren't they? They're half in Europe. But we definitely are in Europe, and we don't get jack. So having something like that, super awesome. How we go about getting this, I don't know. We'll have to work that out as we go. I'm fairly certain it's only through events, much like with the Ottomans, when you're trying to change your, oh, what do they call it for them? It's not authority, it's called their piety. When you're a Sunni nation and you're trying to change your piety. Have we even done a Sunni run? Yes, we have, as Nagaur. That's who. What else? We don't have any generals. Oh my god, yes we do. What the hell? That guy's a monster. We don't need to add, I'm not going to bother adding another general. Wow, that said, it'd be bloody nice to get a siegey one. If we could have a siegey chap and a fighty chap, we would be rocking and rolling. Do it. Screw it. I'm doing it. Oh my god. Okay. That... That is deeply ungood. The great news is that for the next 20 years, that guy with 4 shock pips, which is great, don't get me wrong, 4 shock pips when you're having a fight is freaking amazing, but we have a guy who's better than him already. So, pretty effing redundant. But that's okay, we'll see if we can split him off and he can lead around our vassals. That's what his job's going to be. The people who we don't care about taking, we don't care if they take massive amounts of attrition. I can't believe that. What a roll. What a world. Okay, so now we need to get these guys up another, get their happy up a bit. Well, no, what we're going to do is let their happy sink. Which is fine, that's fine. We'll let them go beneath, we'll take the 20 loyalty off them to get their 150 military points that we need, and screw them, we can deal with them later. So I'm just trying to find the things that will just get them over 75. That would there, wouldn't it? Yeah, 75.5. Perfect. Now we're gonna sink them down to 43, which is way lower than I'd like. But hey, that's what you get when you don't. Well, when you want a general and you end up with a crap one. Let's now do the burgers. Burgers. There's a tiny bit of autonomy there, I guess. Eek. I don't like giving stuff away that's good. I think 30's enough to grant charters, and then recruit a minister is 55. We only get 100 there, but if we go any higher, then it's quite likely that events will screw with us. 67 and then 67 and then 52, that is. Sorry, 72. No, 64 plus 8.4. Oh god, I wish I wasn't so bad at math. That's 9.3 and that's 8.4, so it's 17.5, I think. And that's not enough. We'd need to do 3 of them. Oh, there's plenty of stuff left to give the clergy. We'll do it. Let's do it. Oops. You need that one. You can also have that one. 73. Crap, they are super close. And that goes up to 75. Okay. 97 happiness. I've always thought this should be a sliding scale. There should be more to this. If you can get their happiness really high, that they should have an extra bonus. And you should have a malice for getting them extra low as well. But hey ho, let's go. 150 and 67, and we've got some money. That's cool. Now let's do the clergy. That's a good spot for the clergy. So is that for the clergy? Okay, 54. What else could we give them? Let's. Do we need to recruit a minister just at the moment? I think with that spread we can maybe just give them more stuff. Stuff that we can take away in the future if events go against us. That one. And what will that go up to? Oh, that won't increase influence anymore. Okay, fine. Then we will recruit a minister. Which one's the 15? Yep, the unrest guy. Cool. And then demand admin. There's our 150 from them. Now these guys don't actually give us any admin point or any monarch points, but they do other cool stuff, so we'll just deal with them later. One thing I particularly like is this one. If they have enough influence, or no, actually they only need one province owned by them. So next year, when we can take that off whoever owns it, when we can take that off the clergy, we'll I shouldn't say that, it just makes me sound like I'm an idiot. I am an idiot, but I don't want to sound like one. When we can take that off the clergy, we'll give that to the Cossacks, and then we'll be able to increase our, excuse me for a second, still tail ending that damn cold. When we can take that off the clergy, we'll give it to these chaps, and then we'll be able to pay 15 military power and get our land force limit modifier increased by 15%. Like, that's insane. That's so good. And we'll keep bumping that every now and then. It gives a little bit of loyalty, but quite a bit of influence. So it's a weird sort of a juggling act with these guys. They're a little bit different to the other estates, but the stuff they give is cool, particularly the Free Giant Army. Okay, so that's all the estates done. Now let's just, I don't know, spread our armies out, position our armies, and go on these twats. The supply limits up in this area are god awful. They're so low. It's awful playing in this area. So the first idea group that we're going to go for, I won't actually move that army there, I'll keep it here. We'll try to gather our troops over this way. In fact, let's move this guy back here. He's going to move into that area and try and pick up these clowns. The first idea group that we go for is going to be defensive, because they're just the terrain around here is so ugly. It's insane how bad it is. So this is our mission, is reclaim Velsk. We need the manpower. What better time to start a war? Declare a war. We're only going to take that. Last time I played this, I actually made some cores and did some other stuff, but we've got a lot of stuff to do and various missions that involve these guys, so why not get one out of the way immediately? So we're at war with them now. We'll go there, that handles 8. We'll go, oh, okay. This is one thing we need to be aware of. The winters up here are real vicious. So, because it's December, we're taking an extra, the supply limit is reduced by 2. So, our army is 6, and the supply weight is 9, the army weight of our 6,000 man army is actually 8. And over here, it is actually 7 or 8, which is super uncool. So we've got to be very careful about that, otherwise we're going to take masses of attrition all of the time. Come back here and join with me, you mugs. Where are they going? They're going up there. Those guys are coming here, we'll see if they join us. Nope. Let's join them. I don't know where those guys are going, but it looks like they're trying to get themselves killed nice and early. Ah, cool. We can get to that place without taking any shots. Okay, Poland have taken on Lithuania as their junior partner, and hopefully I forgot all about that mechanic. We'll get 2 years of power from that ruler as well as prestige. I completely forgot about that mechanic. Such a cool mechanic. Huh. Alright, so that's actually a really interesting idea. It might make sense for us to go as friendly, try to do everything we can to be friendly with these guys. Because with that mechanic, it's not terrifically hard to get a claim on their throne, and getting a claim on their throne means a claim on all of Lithuania, and just generally equals win. Regardless, trying to get friendly with them makes a lot of sense to me. We will not support our heir, but we may just send them a gift to get them on our side. This is a real big gamble, because they could just immediately hate us anyway. That's a whole lot of money to be sending to a possible enemy, but we'll give it a go. Cool, so we'll just spread out and siege their stuff. These clowns are failing wildly at making people join with them, which is frustrating. We've lost our humiliate against those, but that's fine. The Great Horde rivaled us. Okay, that's good. As long as Poland didn't, that's all I want. So I'm just looking to chain siege as hard as I can here. Oh, okay, if you're going to go there. Not chain siege, scattershot siege, you know. Spread as wide as I can. Brilliant. That worked. We now have a royal marriage with Poland. And we'll have an alliance with them. That's a great call. This was a good idea. Now these clowns hate who? They hate Kazan and they hate Crimea hate them. They hate Kazan, they hate Nogai, and they hate us. That's cool. Let's see what... Nope, they don't work, and Nogai are crap. Who else? Crimea hate them. Crimea also hate Georgia and Caucasia. They hate Crimea, Georgia. See, these guys just aren't worth trying to deal with. They're just so wonky. We occupied somewhere and somewhere else. Where did our little chap go to? He's just not doing what we need him to. Those little pricks should be joining me, not vice versa. So what we'll do is we might try and find somewhere with a nice high, well, reasonably for the area, high, actually no, we should be going there. I'm still annoyed that I didn't manage to get any siege with that chap that I paid so dearly for, and will likely regret having paid so dearly for in the near future. But that's sort of the way it goes. Siege some more stuff. Ah, we can go there. Despite that being a level 3 fort, we can go from there to there. Okay, so let's now do this rundown that I wanted to do on the intricacies of zone of control. Now, the situation that I had in the game against, in the very hard game, was that I was having a war with Kazan, who owned all of this, and with Odoyev, who owned that, while I owned those. I jumped in at a bad time. I failed to kill Odoyev's army as I wanted to. I did have a fort here though, so I thought I was quite happily in control of the situation. I was wrong. Kazan's armies came wandering in here, and then while we were besieging this, rather than obeying the my territories fort, they jumped straight across the border. The reason they did that was because this was Allied territory, and zone of control doesn't carry it doesn't carry into enemy territory. So these three here were Odoyev, and these ones down here were Kazan, but this border fort didn't have any effect on these, which makes perfect sense. But what I assumed was the case was that when you entered one direction you had to leave the same direction is incorrect if you're a border province. So that sort of makes sense. We've likely seen that before, and we've likely exploited that before without even really talking about it. The problem that we did have though is that when that happened, we ended up losing a terrible fight over here. All of our armies retreated back here, some of them got caught in the middle, and we sent troops back to support them. We were hiding up in Pskov, that I think we'd probably integrated by that point, but we ran our armies back and we were fighting here in Rzhev, and believed, because we owned this province and this province, that we were safe. When Denmark declared on us, my understanding was that there was nothing that they could do, but they could either go to there and siege that down and then attack us, or they could walk all the way, because there's a fort there. No, there's a fort. There's a fort there, and a fort there, and a fort there. So, what my thinking was that they would need to do is move down there, siege that, and then be able to attack us, but it would take an entire 12 siege cycles to do that. Or that they'd have to walk around there, through these, which, because those are all zone of control, my thinking was that they wouldn't be able to go straight through there. They'd have to go around through the non-zone of control places, go there, then there, then there. Which seems, that's the sort of path that a human would have to take. A player would have to move to there, perhaps to there, then there, then there. Because that's not zone of control. If this was our fort, that wouldn't be zone of control, so that would make sense that they could move there. So I assumed one of those two options would be the case with regards to Denmark attacking me. Now, what I've since learned is that isn't the case. The AI can completely ignore forts if they can get to it, and if they can get to the place they want to go via another means. So having a fort there is a complete waste of time. They can wander straight through there. It has no effect on them whatsoever. Because they could do this, go on this massive path around here and get to me, they can just go straight through it. So, be very, very wary of forts that aren't chained. I mean, that's almost always what I do. I almost always have my forts chained, forts between that are two apart, and this situation that I experienced here wouldn't be a problem if I had a fort there, or there, or there. Any of those would be fine because they wouldn't have an alternate path. They wouldn't be able to walk through here, so they wouldn't be able to walk straight through there. But that's just the way it works at the moment, apparently, so be very aware of that. You can get F'd in the A quite easily by just the programming. I mean, I can't sort of, I don't know, there's not much more I can say beyond that. It's just programming that someone did at some point that I believe is not very good. So we've just occupied somewhere else. Where was that one? That was that one there. I'm going to send two chaps up there because they'll likely take attrition, and I don't want just one bloke up there by himself. Actually, what we'll do is we'll send all of them there, and we'll split it into 3 groups. Oh my. Isn't that a lovely bunch of Russian stuff that we now control? So this is good. I'm quite happy with Novgorod focusing on that thing that we genuinely don't care about. We'll go for this one, because we'll have the chance to escape if they come out of that siege. Hopefully we will. Actually, we've got this guy who does move quickly. Yep, he's the perfect guy for this job. So that guy is... We can just split that in half, actually. We've got enough armies coming free to do other stuff. So they're going to finish their siege before we finish ours, and we've got a secondary siege to do down there as well. What we'll look to take in this particular war with our brand new pals, the whatever their name is. Oh, someone's spawned up there. Do we want 7 guys moving there? Ah, they have finally attached to us. Okay, cool. We'll actually move those down there. We'll move those there. And those guys are already going there. Cool. Yep, we surely did. Oh, we have gone over. I was thinking, shouldn't we be over the limit with the Polish? And we are, but that's okay. I wish I had thought of this. You know how we get the -20? Ew, what do they have high liberty desire for? Which one are they? These ones. I wonder why. Who knows? Let's just try and improve with them. So the malice that you get for being a... I don't want to walk that way, because it will... Actually, that's probably not that bad. It'll take us more than 3 days to get there. Yeah, we get there on the 7th and get there on the 19th, that's fine. So what was I saying? Oh yes, the malice that you get for being for playing at hard is the same as very hard, where alliances are concerned. So I could quite possibly have made that alliance with Poland in that other game, which would have been a good idea. It's there's certainly a stronger ally than the no one that I had in my very hard game, so it's making me think having a Poland on your side rather than as your rival. Oh yeah, there we go, that's France and Britain at war, very good. With the cruelest war event that there is in the game, of being able to suck your enemy in as the attacker. So good. Yep, that's better pathing, I think. So there's a lot more stuff to that whole zone of control, movement lock, bloomin' blah blah blah, than what I've explained here. So what I'd recommend, honestly, for anyone, having since seen this guy's work, is look up on YouTube a chap called... what is his damn name? Reman. R-E-M-A-N. I think he's Reman Paradox on YouTube. He wrote this thing and it's a masterwork. It explains it so well. And he also does absolutely fantastic job of explaining the trade mechanisms in the game as well. This is going to be a hard fight. We're going to be fighting in woods, but I think we're okay because we're there first. We shouldn't get the river penalty. That, in fact, he may end up with the river penalty. I'm not sure. But we'll group all our chaps up, and we'll put the other leader there. Yeah, we only get the -1 from the terrain, from the woods, and that's fine by us. given that we outnumber the baddies by more than 2 to 1. Oh, I love that pathing, my god. What about there? Shivers. Let's see how the fight goes. A 10 versus a 5 is nice. Ugh. An 8 versus a 3 is not. A 2 versus a 1 is good enough. And an 8 versus a 2 is great. Cool, we wiped them as well. Hey, and we got Born in the Saddle, which gives our cavalry better flanking ability, which is nice, but I don't think it actually matters at all at this point, so it might be a bit redundant, but hey. Something's better than nothing. You've got to let us... Can we move, please, mate? We can. Okay, let's move that giant army down this way, away from where it takes attrition. Is that the best spot to avoid attrition? That's better. We get only 14 from there. And we'll let our minions do the rest of our... Huh? Why are we taking attrition if we're not meant to be taking attrition here? Because supply limit is 14.5 and our unit weight is 14.9. Even though, you'd think it would round it up if we're going to take attrition there. You'd think the bloomin' thing would round it up. But apparently not. Oh well. We'll go there. No, we'll go there. There we go. Supply limit of 16. We're perfectly safe there. Alright. Successful war is successful. We'll come down here and help these chaps siege that, seeing as they're failing. I'm certain you've all noticed that icon before. Too few people to siege. Is 8 going to be enough? May not be. Oh yeah, that's fine. We are taking attrition thanks to winter and siege, but hey, that's how the game works. Oof. Okay, we're going there. It's just constant attritionville up in this area. It's so vicious. Lumen disasters. Yeah, I don't know why that floats on and off. It's always weirded me out, that. Let's see if we can work it out. Okay, see, it's gone down now. What was the difference? Controlled provinces, base, and recruited minister. Oh, sorry, it's this one. God, what am I looking at? Did that... Am I blind, or did that... Oh god, I don't know. Let's just leave it and see if we can see it disappear. Do you know what it is? Center of trade. Because we control a center of trade, that's enough for them to have gone over. Which is kind of annoying. But it's nothing we can't deal with. That's definitely one of the ones we want to take. It's one of the most productive areas in this, sorry, one of the most productive provinces in the area. But then we could also take more stuff off them. That's cheaper to core. Maybe that's a good idea, and we actually put proper claims on these. There is a mission that allows us to reclaim stuff from them. Sorry, that allows us to get claims on all of their stuff. So I may just do that. I may be going well over and above what we need to do on this one, just thinking about it, but hey, everyone who knows me knows that I'm a super OCD, must sort it out kind of a guy. Okay, I don't know what the shit that's talking about. What local native helpers? We don't have... This is all our land. We're not dealing with natives. Doesn't make sense in this context game, but thanks for the little penalty anyway. Siege of Luki is over. Alright, that's everything. They're now at 100%. We can go back here. We need to call one of our guys back. Beluzero are no longer sulking at us, so that's good. Let's make a piece. What kind of a piece shall we make? There's one type of piece that I'd actually like to make, which is a... Huh? I want them to return my Korvalsk. That was... What the F? Part of the war goal, so we don't have to pay any diplo for it, but I mean, so weird. So we can humiliate them, which I think is a good idea. We can make them give us stuff, and we can make them give up claims in Muscovy. That's not a bad idea. And we don't care about Livonian Order or any of those other ones. But let's try and break them up a little bit so that we can get them down to vassalization level, or complete vassalization level, or complete annexation of the same thing. So let's see if we can get that number down. Oh my god. These places are crap. Why is that war score so freaking high? Well, we do get 32 power projection out of this. Let's try and get it up to 50, shall we? Yikes, that's not happening. Well, okay, let's... This is weird. I don't understand why these are so high. I thought... I mean, Reconquest is cheaper. Reconquest makes the war score cost cheaper. But... Oh, it's because we've got Humiliate on. Tony, you idiot. So Humiliate's nice for the prestige that it gives us, but it's only 8 prestige. It's sort of... Oh, no it's not. It's 30 power projection, okay. That's a different kettle of fish really, isn't it? But, that said, when we can take more stuff off them, that makes us stronger, and get to almost the same power projection. I mean, it's 10 less, but for the amount of stuff we can get from it, it's pretty damn cool. Let's have a think about this. Let's see who's where and what. So they could do with Luki. That sounds cool to me. I can turn that over to them. Let's make that one happen. That's one of the things. What was that button there? Wow. Will give us 5% Patriarch authority and the following permanent effect. The state maintenance goes up, but the devastation goes down. Can only be consecrated in states with at least 30 development. Well, I don't know what's going on there, but it all sounds very exciting. I think I might need to do some reading up. I was very much hoping to just work this one out as I went, but may not be the case. Let's just make sure they're the right people. Yes, they are. Skov. Cool. What else? Novgorod, Novgorod. That's right. I was thinking about avoiding these ones because they're quite expensive. But that's only a 6. That's 60. That's a 20. That's too expensive. Tiva, Novgorod, Novgorod. So we might just grab that one. We may only grab that one because it's got such little development on it, to give us a land path through to our mates over here. that's the only other things in Skov that aren't Livonian Order. Oh, Lithuania even. So Lithuania do have that and that. That belongs to them. That belongs to them. But that's okay. We can share stuff with our buddies Poland across the border. No problem at all. If it keeps us alive and focused in the right direction, I'm quite happy with that. So, we don't need any of those. What about these? Is there anything that these guys have? They're Beluzero. So Velsk is actually theirs. So we'll reconquer that and then give it to Beluzero. That should cheer them up no end. And then Archangelsk. I'm slightly tempted to grab all four of these. If we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see how that looks. Clear this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, perfect. Then we can humiliate, and we'll take their stuff. Bit more stuff. Perfect. Alright, that's a pretty good deal, I'd say. That ends up with us not doing very much in the way of, not spending very much in the way of coring. It gives us stuff that we can give back to Beluzero. It gives us something that we can give to Skov. And it gives us a land connection through to there, which I think all works out very well. We get 20% overextension. We get not very much aggressive expansion, 16.7, that's fine. And it costs us 48. All in all, that's a pretty good deal. We get 47 power projection, they lose 47. Sounds good to me. Boom! Hoorah! Everlasting victory. We lost some men, they lost way more. Well, not way more, they lost more. And given that very few of these are actually our own casualties, we lost 5,000. Oh, this is a good point. I don't think this would have shown in the old version. What did I just close it for? You will be able to go back in the video and have a look at that rundown, and you'll be able to see the vicious effects of attrition. You take attrition whenever you're sieging, so that's a constant drain on your manpower, and then you take extra attrition during winter or when you're over the supply limit of the province. So you can see in that war that attrition was probably 2/3, almost 3/4 of the actual losses that happen in a war. Up in this sort of an area, up in the Arctic areas and in arid areas, that's very much the case. You'll see that attrition is just the worst. So any way of getting attrition down is a great idea. The way we're going to get attrition down is... Am I right? I am not. The way we're going to get attrition down is with defensive ideas, where we can take negative 25% attrition and we can cause extra attrition for enemies. So that just effectively means that we're winning. If they're taking more damage than us, they're taking more than us. That works. It also gives us a bonus to our general manpower. Huh? I might be wrong here, but I think they've changed this. Defensive used to give you a bonus in numbers. Now that's left in quantity. I'm almost tempted to go for quantity. reduces the cost, reduces the purchasing cost and the maintenance cost, reduces the increases the manpower recovery, and gives you plus 50 and another plus 50. It doubles the amount of men that you have available, while reducing your attrition. I would have sworn that there was a negative plus 33% up here. No, maybe I'm confusing it with Grand Army. Oh, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, this is wonderful. Having the morale, having better yearly army tradition, and having better leader maneuver. That maneuver reduces your attrition obviously as well, because each tick that you have of maneuver means that your army weight is one less. So when it's calculating how heavy your army will be when walking on a square, how many supplies it will use when walking on a province, your maneuver reduces it by one. So that again effectively reduces your attrition damage. I don't know. I think defensive and quantity together would be really good for Russia, given the size that we get to. But then aristocratic does an amazing thing as well. If we have a look here, that noble knights, noble knights allows this thing here. Muscovy must have unlocked the noble knights idea. That's cool. And we must have 8 war exhaustion. Ooh, that's pretty rough. But we must also be at war. Those 3 things could happen relatively quickly. It raises an entire army out of nowhere, reduces our war exhaustion by 10, gives us 30 army tradition, and gives us 100 military power. Like, that is just a mission that is super powered. That is so cool. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And it's rung bells. I must have played Muscovy at some point in the very, very distant past, because I can remember doing that and just being shocked at how good it was. I'm fairly certain it was me. I could have been watching someone else play. Who knows? But the other reason that would be cool is because it gives us that cheaper military tech, which we definitely need, gives us reduction in autonomy, and bonus to absolutism, which is great, gives us extra manpower. So that is also super cool. The extra diplomat would be amazing, the extra leader would be amazing. And leader siege is always amazing. So those will be our 3 ideas, definitely on that side. For the rest of these, I just don't know. I'm very tempted by influence. It's always nice to have that reduction in AgX. The vassal force contribution would be great, but we probably won't have... No, we will. We'll have marches. Yeah, that's probably the first one that will go. In the game that I played that was on very hard, I can't remember which one. I think I went for defensive straight away, but I'd actually absorbed all of my vassals already, and it makes you weaker. It reduces let's have a look here. Okay, it's not showing us there. Where do I have to see it from? There, our land force limit, we get 2 extra men for each march. We get 1 extra man for each vassal. When we integrate those, they become... We've got the 28 provinces. Instead of having those bonuses for the vassals, we'd just get a slight bonus to our number of provinces, and so the force limit number goes down. And when you're playing on very hard and the AIs all have a plus 1, I think it's a plus 100, they basically double their army limit. So I think playing on very hard would make sense to keep your vassals, at least probably in the way that I am doing here, with having 2 marchers who you're going to feed up. as opposed to getting rid of them and vassalizing them all, not vassalizing, annexing them all as I normally would on hard. But we'll have a look. We'll see how we go. Anyways, that's all the stuff has come to us, and that one there has come to us, and we're going to give that to Beluzero. Let's have a look in here. Where is Beluzero? Sulky, sulky Beluzero. You twats can have Valsk. It decreases their liberty desire by 1%. That is poor. What ungrateful pricks. I thought it was much more than that. Oh well. What else? We've taken that one and we gave that one to them as part of the war deal, which didn't actually cheer them up. Doesn't matter. They're our vassal. Wow, these guys are really high. Why? It's the relative power of all vassals to us. Yeah, so we should probably build some more armies, perhaps. Anyway, in the meantime, Novgorod will cede that and that and that and all the stuff. Ah, cool. We're also over 50 now, so we... Huh? Fine. Oh yes, that's going down because Lithuania are no longer our rival. Who should we rival? I've got a feeling that Grand Horde is a good idea. Great Horde, rather. Yeah, there's no harm in rivaling them, I don't think. Corruption's going up because we've got all of those that haven't yet been cored. Let's have a look at that. 20 haven't been cored. That's at 0.96. Don't mind. What I'm thinking is I could feed these to Perm because they're pretty poor relatively. I mean, that's what, 11-14. Like, that's not a good state. You know what I mean? I could let one of my guys take over that. But they would get stronger, I guess. What are they? They're forests. So forests are plus 20 development. What's that? What's the difference between forests and woods? They're plus 15 in woods, plus 20 in forest. Forest looks way cooler though. So shall we just go through and do this, or should we? We'll do Colm, definitely. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, what is it? It's 45. It's 45, 50, 70. Should we just do it? Yeah, let's just do it. What the hell, eh? Okay, that's going up. Let's look after our corruption. 1 tick is all it needed. We're earning 1 per turn. Let's drop that down. We won't be doing any wars for a wee bit. They might come and attack us, but in the meantime, let's look to build our army larger. We can field another 8 guys quite happily, and I think that's a good idea given that our mates are getting all sulky. How much does that cost? 5 cost 158. And altogether costs 208. Oh, hang on, we can only field 8 though, can't we? Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. That. There, please. That'll put us up to our army limit, keep everyone from being idiots. I love that I've given them stuff and that lowered their liberty desire but raised their liberty desire because they've got more stuff. Such a silly mechanic. Huh? Oh, shitbags. Okay, so that was a super fail. Because we didn't wait for the 1 day, we didn't finish the mission. So I'm going to crash this game out, and I am going to reload it and I will do that there because it's just such a stupid mistake. So I'll be back in the next video, and we'll see you then. Back soon.